European leaders say a decisive shift is underway in Ukraine's war trajectory. After days of peace talks in Berlin, Europe and the United States have unveiled a 6-point security and recovery framework for Ukraine, one that goes beyond temporary wartime aid and lays out a post-war security architecture designed to deter any future Russian aggression. At the core of the plan is something Ukraine has long demanded: Article 5, like security guarantees, without formal NATO membership. The framework would give Ukraine collective defense-style protection, with Europe taking the lead on security and the United States acting as a strategic backstop.
What the U.S. has placed on the table here in Berlin in terms of legal and material guarantees is really considerable.
The first pillar commits Europe and the U.S. to sustained military support, rebuilding Ukraine's armed forces and maintaining a peacetime army of up to 800,000 troops. The aim is deterrence, ensuring Ukraine emerges from any peace deal strong, not demilitarized. The second pillar introduces a European-led, US-supported, multinational force drawn from a coalition of the willing. This force would operate inside Ukraine, helping regenerate its military, secure airspace, protect sea lanes, and stabilize the post-war environment. 6-point security and recovery framework. Long-term military support, 800,000 strong army. EU-led multinational force inside Ukraine. US-led ceasefire monitoring and verification. Legally binding response to future attacks. Reconstruction, recovery, frozen Russian assets. Strong backing for EU accession. Under the third and fourth points, Washington would lead a ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism, while participating countries would adopt legally binding commitments, including military, intelligence, economic, and diplomatic action, if Ukraine is attacked again. However, Russia has already drawn a red line on any Western troops deployment in Ukraine.
Putin particularly emphasized this when he addressed the issue once again, including during his meeting with Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner, that we are willing and open to discussing security issues, taking into account the interests of all parties, and striving to achieve a balance of these interests on a collective basis, with due regard for the current realities. Those who say that the most important thing is to give Ukraine security guarantees so that it can quietly build up its army to 1 million or 800,000 troops, and that there should be no problems with supplying weapons to the Ukrainian army, are people who are stirring up a new storm.
The final pillars focus on recovery and integration. Large-scale reconstruction funding, compensation using frozen Russian assets, and firm support for Ukraine's path into the European Union.
The talks were not easy, but they brought real progress on security guarantees.
Taken together, the 6-point plan signals a clear message. Europe is ready to lead Ukraine's security future. The US is prepared to guarantee it, and any peace deal will be built on deterrence, not vulnerability.